Today we are talking about the three-act structure in a film. So the three-act structure in a film is a model of screenwriting. So here you have three different parts: the Act 1, Act 2 and the Act 3. To better understand these are like the beginning, middle and the end. So Act 1 is basically the beginning of the film. Act 1 would be the first 30 minutes of a film. If you take a 2-hour length film, the first 30 minutes of that film would be the Act 1. The next 60 minutes of that film would be the Act 2. And the next last 30 minutes of that film would be the Act 3. So here in the Act 1, what you have is the setup. You set up all the characters involved in the film. You set up the locations. Basically you set up the protagonist here and the place he lives in, and the place where the catalyst may happen. So here what you're doing is introducing everything to the audience, that these are the people and this is where it is happening. So by the end of the Act 1, there's a conflict happening. If for example, if you take a character, a protagonist is being kidnapped by some sort of a villain. So here when he is kidnapped, that is the end of the Act 1. So here the main protagonist character is questioned, and the answer for this would be the rest of the film. So by the end of the Act 1, the action rises. Basically in the whole Act 2, you get the action rised. Whatever the character is doing is not solving his problem. He is getting faced many problems which he has never seen, and he cannot solve these problems. So he's trying to search for the answer to get out of the situation what he is in. So basically, if you think that the character has been kidnapped by some kidnapper, so he's trying to get out, but he's not able to. So he's fighting with himself to get out of that situation. In the middle of the Act 2, this is a common thing, that the protagonist character realizes that what he is doing is not what he actually has to do, because what he knows is never going to make his problem solved. So he has to change himself. So he has to make something happen to get out of this situation. So here in the middle of the Act 2, the character try to change himself, try to make himself fight against the situation what he is in. So from the middle of the Act 2, the character starts to change himself and react to the situation differently. So here by the end of the Act 2, the problems get worse than ever. He is not able to solve the problem, even if he is trying to change his character. Even if he changes his character, he's not able to get out of the situation. So by the end of the Act 2, the situations are more dramatic. He is not able to answer the situation. So by the end of the Act 2, when you come to the Act 3, the Act 3 would have the climax in. So climax is where the protagonist has his final battle against the villain, or against the bad guy. So here he tries to become intelligent. He tries to solve the problem like never before. So finally in the Act 3, he gets out of the problem. He wins the race. And in the Act 3, the action slowly starts to fall down and things start to get settled down. So this is the Act 3. So basically, this is the three-act structure in a film. So if you see the graph, Act 1 is the setup of the story, setting up the protagonist of the film, the place where he lives in, and the things that are going to be in the rest of the film. And in the Act 2, a conflict happens and the action starts to get raised up. In the middle of the Act 2, you may have a twist or some point where the story takes a different path. And before you enter the Act 3, there's a major turning point between the Act 2 and Act 3, where the character starts to realize that what he is doing is not right. Now in here he thinks differently, and he has his final battle in the act 3, which is so called the climax of the film. And after his final battle, the action starts to fall off. That means that is the place where he has the resolution, his situation are solved. So the action starts to fall off and the things start to get settled down. So this is the 3-act structure in the film. You can break any rule in filmmaking, but if you want to break them, you want to know them first, then you can break it well.